In honor of hitting 40 subscribers, thank you so much. I present Autism and Popular Culture, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. First, I want to talk about how Doofenshmirtz obviously has post-traumatic stress disorder, specifically PTSD from his childhood. I mean, neither of his parents showed up for his birth. He was throwing his own surprise parties at 5 years old. And of course, the infamous lawn gnome thing. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because there can be some symptoms overlap between CPTSD and autism spectrum disorder. So things like appearing withdrawn, maybe having some difficulty in social situations, even some stimming behavior can result from CPTSD as well as autism. So when a character like Doofenshmirtz obviously has CPTSD, if I think they might be on the spectrum too, what I look for is other behaviors that aren't necessarily as associated with PTSD and are more associated with being on the spectrum, just to make sure that I'm, identifying the right thing. And, I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't, or a psychologist or anything, so I can't diagnose, but I look for traits that go beyond PTSD if the character also obviously has PTSD. We'll see more of this with some other characters. So, yes, obviously PTSD, that could be causing some of the symptoms he exhibits, but there's enough else there that I think saying he's on the spectrum is also fair in addition. So, here we go. He hyperfixates a lot, like that's his whole plot basically is him hyperfixating on the big one, of course, ruling the tri-state area. He really never gives up on that. I mean, even after attempting to go straight at the end of season 4, by season 5 he's back to ruling the tri-state area, obviously for plot reasons, but in universe you could also call it his hyperfixation that he can't really let go of. His hatred for Roger, I think that's a pretty hyperfixated thing, certainly related to ruling the tri-state area, but it's also a hyperfixation on Roger himself and his status as the favorite child. Looney. There's 2 episodes where his whole plot, the Chronicles of Meep, 2 episodes where Doof's whole plot is related to Balloony and getting Balloony back. So he's pretty solidly dedicated to that. And the finding the Mary MacGuffin doll to demonstrate his love to his daughter, he's been looking for this doll for like 10 years, never stopped looking. So obviously that's a fixation as well, I think. Just this is something Vanessa said she wanted. I will scour the ends of the earth to find it for her, I think is a very... He's fixated on it, for sure. Related to the hyperfixations, I didn't realize it started out completely blank, are Doofenshmirtz's special interests. One of the big ones we see, apart from evil is obviously one of his special interests. I'm having to hold the mic really close to my mouth. I'm using a different microphone and it's not a good microphone. But one of the big ones we see apart from evil, though related to it, is model building. You see here, Hail Dufania. He had a lot of felt. He's kind of embarrassed about having made a plush model, but he had a lot of felt, and, why not? Then there's his precise 1/100th scale model of the tri-state area. He seems to feel like he needs to make excuses for the model building. You'd be surprised how much free time I have. And then the train set thing, even he talks, that could also be some of the PTSD because we know his dad gave him a train set but then wouldn't let him play with the train set. So this could also be some trauma resolution stuff, him playing with the train set. I don't know as much about PTSD, but this, I think that could also be a sign of trauma response. I wasn't able to find a picture of it, but in one of the episodes, I think it's that sinking feeling. We have a flashback to him making one of his models, and he's like, I hope Henry the Platypus appreciates all the effort I put into this. And then, Vanessa walks by like, he won't. And Doof, I know. So evil and then model building are two that we see pretty consistently throughout the course of the show. There's also a few one-off ones like cheese making or art. That one episode, Magic Carpet Ride, he went through a painting special interest phase where he was just kind of dedicated to that. Poetry for a while after science seemed like it wasn't going to work out. And then he still lost to a baking soda volcano. So yeah, he has quite a few. These are all the ones that I could fit on this slide, but there are other ones, I think. I feel like there were a few other ones, but these are the several special interests. He also, like I talked about in my last video a few days ago, not very coordinated with his feet, and he acknowledges that up front. He learned it through trial and error, like the infamous viral video from Tip of the Day, the Aglet episode. Attempting to roller skate. I have no explanation for the underwear thing. We're never given one. It ends in disaster. This might be the psychological reason I've always been too scared to try roller skates. I saw this episode as a child, and I've always been scared of trying to roller skate, and I'm just realizing this may be part of why. Seriously, I've tried putting on roller skates before, and I just kind of I don't want to move. I'm gonna fall over and a toilet's gonna magically appear, and I'm gonna fall into it. I do love that we have zero context for the creation of this episode, zero context for the creation of this video. Norm just calls it a misguided attempt to engage in life and just drops it. It's just funny. Let the record show, of course, that he's very coordinated with his hands, just not with his feet. Of course, being coordinated with his hands does nothing to gain his mother's approval because his mother's love was always inexplicably linked to kickball. That's one of my favorite episodes, just because it's so random. Like, of all the stuff we learn about his mom, I feel like this is the most random. And that sounds funny, because obviously there's a whole she didn't show up for the birth thing, but I don't know. Also, it's a good song. My mother's love was always inexplicably linked to kickball. It's a good song. He's very literal. We see this a lot. He feels the need to explain all the metaphors he uses to parry the platypus. Probably a courtesy thing, because he doesn't seem to get metaphors himself, like with the green thumb thing in Moon Farm. And for those who don't know the backstory behind this highly entertaining image, he really wants to grow outdoor plants, but they keep dying. And so he's like, I went to the plant store, and the guy told me, among other things, that my plants wouldn't grow because I don't have a green thumb. And so I went to the store and got a bucket of paint and poured it all over myself. I was green everywhere except, strangely, my thumbs. And then he has the realization, and then he's going to dehydrate his neighbor's plants so his plants will look greener. And then it dawns on him that, oh, the green thumb thing was a metaphor. There's also the ironic use of the word unexpected, and then the need to explain that he didn't mean it, which suggests that maybe he has trouble with irony and sarcasm. Again, very literal, which is another symptom of autism spectrum. So yeah, trying to think what else. There's obviously other instances of the and by blank I mean completely blank. There's of course by unpredictable I mean completely dictable. That's a good one. But yeah, just a lot of explaining metaphors, apparently because he doesn't get them himself. And then the belated realization of, oh, I feel like there are other instances of him not getting metaphors. This was just the example that jumped out at me when I was thinking of examples for this video. Similar to what we talked about with Phineas and Ferb, he has this need for routine. He has this whole thing he does with Perry, and he wants to get it right. So, like, he rehearses with a bobblehead Perry that he apparently made. He tapes his evil monologues ahead of time, and then he can play them for Perry if he's too sick to do them himself. He gets really upset if Perry is late or absent. Like, if Perry has something else to do, he gets upset. So there's the inhale Doofania. He's like, everything's going really smoothly, but it's actually disturbing him. And he realizes, oh, Perry's not here. That's why I don't feel right. And then, I hope something horrible happened to him. Later in the show, he uses a potted plant as a fake Perry. And then the plant beats him because, of course, it does. There's also the misperceived monotreme, Doofenshmirtz and Perry's 100th battle. Perry can't make it, and so Doof's like, oh yeah, all summer long we have this standing appointment. Suddenly Mr. Big Shot can't make it. So he needs his routine. In Journey to the Center of Candace, he's like, we should mix it up a little, and then he gets upset because mixing it up meant that he just got defeated sooner. Which means Perry has definitely been holding back this whole time. But yeah. I realized as I was finishing up making this that I didn't actually have any pictures of Doof and Perry together in the whole presentation. And even though Perry doesn't have a ton to do with Doof being on the spectrum, I felt like I should, just for like accuracy's sake, because they're always together. So here it is, them on a seesaw as the centerpiece to the final slide. These are just a few quotes that kind of summarize points that wouldn't quite fit on their own slides. The video would be way too long. Though, that being said, if you want to see this stuff hashed out in more detail, let me know. Could be fun to make a part 2. But stuff like Norm talking about how his social life was a soul-shattering void, and Doofenshmirtz confirming that is a painful but accurate choice of words. Obviously, this guy has a really hard time cultivating and maintaining relationships. Interpersonal relationships are really hard, which can be a PTSD thing. Also pretty well known for autism. He has trouble with social interactions. His real best friend is Perry the platypus. He says it right there. So the fact that his relationships with a platypus, his daughter, which, thankfully he has a good relationship with his daughter, but it takes a while to get there, and then a balloon with a human face drawn on it are the relationships that work out best for him in the whole show. Obviously has trouble with interpersonal relationships. On the subject of Perry, he does seem to gravitate towards animals, which is another autistic symptom. Obviously, it's different because the animals in Phineas and Ferb are typically, sapient, sentient, what have you. But Perry the platypus, Peter the panda, he was raised by ocelots and seemed to do okay with that. I don't know how long he was raised by ocelots. Seems like it was a while. I don't know. And Mama Ocelot was apparently more nurturing than Doof's own mother, which honestly isn't that hard to do, which is kind of sad. Very sad, actually. Excuse me. He also talks about his incessant hand-wringing and mantis-like posture. So the hand-wringing can be a stim, and then the mantis-like posture I wanted to emphasize because slouching is an autism thing. That's actually something I've had to work really hard on, is improving my posture, because I actually used to get more back pain, and so I would have to work on stand up straighter, don't slouch as much. And then the mantis-like the other piece of the mantis-like posture thing, the arms, he does T-Rex arms, which is another autism symptom. I don't do this as much, but I've met other autistics who do. It's a sort of holding your arms crossed across your chest with your hands like that. I think if it's anything like the shoulder hugging that I tend to do, it's a safety thing. I can't speak for that, but it often, that kind of thing is for comfort in stressful situations, or it's just what feels most natural. So Doofenshmirtz does T-Rex arms. He has posture issues, which is another symptom of being on the spectrum. Just one more literal quote that I couldn't fit in anywhere else. I'm not a mad scientist. I'm not angry. I'm an evil scientist. So a bit more literal, one definition of mad that he is kind of sticking with. Obviously, I am a genius for realsies this time. He is very smart. He is kind of an absent-minded professor, which that's another symptom. A lot of his inventions work and even defy the laws of physics, similar to Phineas. Doof's Phineas's dad, I swear. I know they say he isn't, but man, that would make a lot of sense. But yeah, a lot of like his inventions work about 99% of the time, but then a lot of the time when he's defeated, it's because, well, it was Perry. Perry plays a big part in it. But there is a significant portion of the time where he trips or something and accidentally hits his own self-destruct button or absentmindedly presses it. So, like, absent-minded and coordination issues are a big thing. Excuse me. That can kind of undermine his inventions, even when, like, they're very intelligent and most of them work. Trying to think what else I want to hit on before I wrap this up. It was pointed out to me in the comments of the Phineas and Ferb video that you could also make a case for Candace being on the spectrum. I agree. I actually think you could probably make that case for most of the characters. Certainly Baljeet. Their dad probably. Apparently Linda has a type. Because the dad seems to be on the spectrum as well, and obviously she went on that date with Doofenshmirtz. So, nerds with dark brown hair who are probably on the spectrum is apparently a type for her. So I don't know. I'd love to do videos for all of them. I also don't know that I want to make like 10 Phineas and Ferb videos. It kind of depends on how many subscriber milestones we hit. What I might end up doing, especially for characters who maybe have less screen time, is do like a cumulative video for all of them, talking, like maybe devote a slide or two to each one, talk about their autistic traits and kind of an overview, because I think that could be a fun format to do. That being said, I mean, if there's opinions on that, if you're like, no, I want a whole Candace video or a whole Baljeet video, I'd love to hear it, because I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm open to whatever. So if you think all of them video would be good, if you think giving them each individual videos would be better, let me know. I'll take that into account. Yeah, that's it for Doofenshmirtz. Obviously PTSD, but I think it's also pretty clear that he's on the spectrum. Oh, and like I talked about with Phineas, he's the only other character in the show to whom the term savant gets applied. With him, it's in more of a comedic context, and it's actually in Milo Murphy's Law, not Phineas and Ferb. But like I said, it used to be used interchangeably with autism, and it's applied to Doofenshmirtz. So it's another good indicator that he is on the spectrum. All right. Thanks again for 40, and until next time.